FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem has established himself as one of the most disliked figures in Formula One. At the Miami Grand Prix, his appearance on the podium to hand out a medal to winner Oscar Piastri was greeted with mass boos that were audible on the live coverage. The widespread disapproval of him and his running of the FIA is nothing new though. What is the possibility of someone standing against him in the FIA Presidential Elections later this year. Today, I'll check out Carlos Sainz Sr.'s potential campaign to run F1's governing body and why it might be doomed from the start. So, don't go anywhere. The Federación Internacional de la Automobile, or FIA as it's more commonly called, has its next presidential election at the General Assembly being held in Tashkent, Uzbekistan on the 12th of December. As things stand, the current FIA president, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, is the only candidate. Ben Sulayem, or MBS for short, was elected to replace Jean Todt 4 years ago. Todt himself had served for 12 years before he decided to step down from the role. To date, no existing FIA president has ever lost an election campaign. And with no candidate currently standing against MBS, it seems unlikely that that run of victories will end anytime soon. However, there is one very popular figure who is considering a stand against MBS and would definitely be the choice of F1 fans. Rally legend and father of Williams driver Carlos Sainz Jr., Carlos Sainz Sr., is considering running for president of the FIA during December's election. Sainz Sr. is a 2-time World Rally champion and 4-time winner of the incredibly difficult Dakar Rally, an event that he still competes in despite being 63. MBS likes to bring up his history as a WRC driver whenever he has the chance, but if you want a comparison between him and Carlos Sainz Sr., MBS would be Logan Sargent and Sainz Sr. would be Fernando Alonso. In an interview with Autosport, Sainz Sr. launched his potential campaign, saying that he was in the process of figuring out how much support I will get in the community of motorsport. If the vote was down to fans of F1 and the WRC, then Sainz Sr.'s election would be a sure thing. But that isn't the case. If you just follow F1, then your only interaction with the FIA would be through the sport, but they have a much wider reach than that. The FIA is the international governing body for motorsport worldwide, governing the majority of international competition, as well as countless national competitions. They describe themselves as a global organization that sets regulations, promotes safety, and ensures fair competition in motorsport events worldwide. Additionally, the FIA works to improve road safety and mobility for all road users. While the writing of the rules of F1 might be the most prominent role of the FIA, it is far from the only one. The people who vote at the election are the members of the FIA, who are the heads of national motorsport organizations. Here in England, that organization is Motorsport UK. In the US, it is the Automobile Competition Committee for the United States. Each country who is a member of the FIA has their own, and it is those groups who get to vote on the next president. For Sainz to even consider running a campaign, he needs to work out if there are enough members who would consider voting against MBS. While F1 fans may think, surely there aren't people who would actually vote for MBS over Sainz Sr., remember that this isn't a popularity contest, and for some member nations, it isn't even about who would be better for motorsport in their country. It can come down to money. More on that later though. Speaking about why he was thinking about standing now, Sainz said, "This possibility has been in my mind for some time now, not very deeply, but now I think it could be the right time in my career for me to take the step. I'm confident I can do a good job and put together an excellent team to give back to the sport part of what it has given to me. I've accumulated a lot of experience in this sport throughout the years, and I'm certain I can bring new and interesting things to strengthen and develop the sport and the automobile world." When asked what he would bring to the role, Sainz said it would be his track record of how he has previously worked. Well, everybody has his own way of running an organization, his own beliefs on what is best, and his own way of understanding this sport and the world of mobility, he said. "I think my track record shows that when I'm committed to something, I only know one way to do things, which is professionally, seriously, and straightforward. Then it will be up to the community to decide." The BBC are reporting that their sources say that he is a candidate who would be taken seriously and would have an impact on the election. He'd be expected to get widespread support from within F1 itself, but as I said, support from within F1 will only get him so far. When asked about the controversy that has surrounded MBS's presidency, Sainz Sr. acknowledged what had been happening, but refused to comment on it, preferring to focus on himself instead. It is a sensible decision by Sainz. The problems with MBS's presidency are well known. He doesn't need to drag his opponent through the mud, he's dirty enough already. Sainz is better off showing the voters why he would be a better president, and that is where this election could be won or lost for Sainz. Being a better president than MBS probably wouldn't be too much of a problem for Sainz Sr. MBS has invited controversy after scandal after outrage during his time as international motorsport's most important person. Last month, Ben Sulayem suffered the most recent blow to his presidency with the resignation of his deputy president for sport, Robert Reid. Reid quit, citing a fundamental breakdown in governance standards within the FIA. On the day Reid announced his resignation, the former FIA Chief Executive Officer, Natalie Robin, broke the silence she had maintained since being forced to resign last summer after 18 months in the role. Robin told BBC Sport the FIA had serious ongoing structural challenges, adding that professional processes are not adhered to and stakeholders are excluded from decision-making. Robin's departure came after she raised questions about the general governance of the FIA and its professional practices, including finances in the president's office. Her comments about the problems within the FIA and the president's office were confirmed when the head of the audit committee, Bertrand Badre, and committee member Tom Purvis were fired after she resigned. Ben Sulayem's attempts to remove the checks on his presidency and remove any detractors don't end there, though. In November, Ben Sulayem fired FIA compliance officer Paolo Bizzarri, who in March last year looked into allegations that MBS interfered in the operations of the Saudi Arabian and Las Vegas Grand Prix in 2023. MBS was cleared following an investigation by the FIA's Ethics Committee, though the integrity of that investigation is very questionable. There have also been a number of other high-profile resignations over the past 2 years, both forced and unforced. It would appear then that things at the FIA are not going well for MBS, but it's almost impossible to say if that's actually the case though. The problem lies in how these international organizations are run. If you're familiar with the corruption scandal that ripped apart FIFA a decade ago, then a lot of this may sound very familiar. An organization like the FIA, or FIFA on a larger scale, are non-profits that operate on huge budgets. In F1, for example, all the drivers and teams pay fees to the FIA to be allowed to run in the sport. Max Verstappen, as an example, paid over $1 million this year for his FIA super license, which needs renewing every year. The money the FIA receives is then supposed to be used to pay for the officials at the F1 races and to help fund grassroots motorsport where future F1 drivers start their careers, as well as any number of other things. To ensure that the FIA is spending the money they receive wisely and in a way that works towards its stated goals, there is a financial auditing committee who make sure everything is above board. When MBS began his term as president, the financial auditing committee operated separately from the FIA president, meaning they were free to investigate him or her if they deemed it necessary. That is no longer the case though, after they raised questions over how MBS was using his $1.5 million yearly expenses allowance. MBS refused to provide the receipts to prove how he was spending that money, and when the auditing committee told him he had to according to French law, where the FIA is based, he said he would use his expenses to set up a president's fund. He fired 2 of its members and eventually changed the committee's rules so they reported only to him and couldn't begin any investigations without his permission. The President's Fund, which will receive $1.5 million a year, can be used by MBS to fund national motorsport organizations as he sees fit. That money can be given out to whoever he wants, with absolutely no oversight. That money could be used to fund grassroots motorsport, or it could disappear into the pockets of national motorsport body members who have votes in the upcoming presidential elections. There is no way to know which is happening. That is what Sainz Sr. is running against. To win this election, he'll have to rely on the integrity of the voting members and prove that he can offer more to international motorsport than MBS has. Do you think he can do it? Or will the shady governance of MBS win out? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.